In this lesson we're going to be taking a logo and importing it into Adobe Illustrator and copying over it. So go ahead and open up Adobe Illustrator, and once you get that open, go ahead and select Print Document, and we're going to title this Logo, and make sure that it is a letter size. And once you have your document open, what we're going to do is go ahead into Google, and we will go ahead and type in Nike logo, and do the Nike logo on this exercise. And I'm going to go ahead and select the black and white Nike logo here. And if you don't find this one, go ahead and you can drag it from my folder. But let's go ahead and save this. There's two ways of doing this. Sometimes the logos don't necessarily drag in. I'm going to save this as a Nike logo, and I'm going to go ahead and put it in my drive, and you go ahead and put it in your drive, and make sure it's in there. And I've created a folder called Illustrator Logo. The other way of doing it, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, is just go ahead and drag the image, and it depends on what way it's formatted on the website. And I drag this directly into Illustrator, and you can either place it in there or get it in by dragging it. And then go ahead to your layers, and what we want to do is create a new layer that we're going to be doing our work on, and I'm going to call it Logo, and select OK. And then let's go ahead and lock the first layer. That way we don't have to worry about messing it up. And then I make sure I'm working on my new layer, and I'll go to the pen tool, and with that pen tool I can go ahead and select the color that I want it to be in. Sometimes it defaults as white and you don't see it, so I have a blue color here. Go to the pen tool, and then just go ahead and outline the logo. Now on the handles we don't want it to be a corner, so we're going to go ahead and make the handles so that they are in a curved manner. And on this straight line it wouldn't be worthwhile doing that, so and go ahead and go back and forth as needed. Now you can always do this later, it's just a little bit more work. And we want to make sure that there are handles on there, and then make sure that you close it up. Sometimes you don't close them up and it creates some difficulty later if you want to do a border. So then go in with the modify tool and position them as you see fit, and use the handles to do the curves. Alright, so go around using the handles and make it work. And you're going to have to spend a little bit more time than I am. I'm going through this pretty quickly here so you guys don't get bored. And then I hit the Alt and zoom out on the keyboard, and then I'm just going to clean this up real quick. Now Illustrator is a better way than using Photoshop because it's vector based. If you remember, Photoshop uses pixels, so when you scale something it can get pixelated, where a vector based, no matter how you scale this, similar to a PDF file, it's going to remain editable, and it's not going to get pixelated. So then once I do the initial logo, I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer. It helps to have layers, that way you don't have to worry about messing the original layer up. And I'll call the new one Text, and I'll go ahead and lock the logo, and go ahead and do the Nike. Now what we're doing is we're going over the font. In theory you could find the font and type it, but you have a lot more control doing it this way. And a lot of logos get modified over time just because the font gets dated, and by being able to manipulate the vectors here we have more control. And so obviously here I'm just going to go ahead and overall these, and I'm going to make the modifications as I need them and as close as I can. And for example I'll do red here, and we'll keep using the same tool, which is the pen tool. And I'll go ahead and do the eye, Now I could do this in a rectangle and skew it, but it's easier to do it this way. And make sure I close these off. And I'll go over the K, do the same thing. And you just have to remember where everything was when you do it this way, because it'll cover up parts of your text. Alright, and then the E. Now, it's important that I don't start on that line, otherwise it'll get confused. And you'll notice I'm going to go over the swish. And if you want to have that go under, we're going to have to work on the layer. Okay, so I'm making the modifications as I need. What I'm going to go ahead and do is take the layer and drag it underneath, and you'll notice that the swish goes over it. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this. I'm going to do one more thing here before I close out. So go ahead and save this to your drive, and it should save as an Adobe Illustrator file. And I'm typing this as Nike logo, or logo Nike. It's an Illustrator file. And I'm making this PDF compatible. Just go ahead and do that for now. And if I want to make changes to the text, it's not going to work because it's locked right now. So what we'll do is go over here and unlock it. And if you notice the pen tool, this is where you can add points and minus points. They call them anchor points. I'm going to add one just to show you how that works here. Okay, we can move them. Got that. But I want to put an anchor point in here because I have to make a pretend modification. Add an anchor point. Has to be on the line. There it is. And then you can move it. If you've messed up, you can also delete them and click the anchor point. Okay, so that is the exercise for today.